Good morning. It's Saturday morning, March 25th, 2023. This is Ron Brown again. I'm going to do a market report. I'm going to try to keep it reasonable length. And I haven't looked at the end of day market information yet. I'm just going to do this on the fly and see how this works out. Okay, as usual, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you don't have HGSI, you should have. Just go to highgrowthstock.com and you'll see a link to the trial. You can try it for 30 days without a credit card, which is a heck of a deal. Takes a lot longer than 30 days to really learn the program, but you can get a feel for the basics and just watch my reports and you'll see how I use it. Okay, I've got my main menu up here. I've got it set for always on top. Going to go into the designer. That's where I always begin. I'm going to go into my market analysis user groups. I'll click on number one major market indexes plus. I'll click through to the warehouse view, and then I have to go to my top-down process views for market analysis. Click on that. And I'll sort on the raw combo, which sorts on the percentage price change 1 day. These are the major market indexes with a couple of other ETFs in here, or here's a Bitcoin investment trust, and I can quickly look down here and see what happened yesterday. The utilities led, followed by the small caps, the mid caps, the S&P 500. This is a total market ETF. The S&P 1500, and then I can go to these columns and see what happened since the beginning of the week. I just resort, and the Nasdaq 100 led over. This is from Monday morning, beginning of the week, and this is from last Friday. You can see there's not much difference, 2.1 compared to 2, and it's up 16.7% from the beginning of the year. But if I sort on this, you can see the Bitcoin is up 93% since the beginning of the year, followed by the Philadelphia semiconductor index, and then the Nasdaq 100. So just briefly looking at this very quickly and resorting on the percentage price change, I can see that over multiple days, well, let's do the beginning of the week, over multiple days, the Nasdaq composite are at the top of the list and are positive for the week. So most of these indexes are positive. Now I usually look at the Nasdaq composite as my primary chart. I'll bring it up. And then I need to go to my charts. I go to market charts. I'm going to use the 1B with the AD line. But before I do that, let's use 1A. And this compares the Nasdaq comp to the S&P, and when it's going up, it's outperforming. You can see most of the week it outperformed, but we had a little pullback on Friday, so the S&P actually outperformed the Nasdaq on this day. Let's go back to the AD line. I'll make this full screen. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hit alternate 1 so we can see this. And let's take a look at some of these indicators. Well, this is a good sign right here, low volume test. You can see the volume was low on Friday. I mentioned on the Skype board that it was running low. There just wasn't a lot of enthusiasm, but because it closed near its high, and I'm going to put up a arrow here. Let's see where over here on the left side, closed at 98.54% of its daily range, which is bullish on low volume. Low volume means that the sellers were not out in force, so there was really no fear, or very lack of fear in the market with the low volume test. Now you look to the left. You always look to the left and see if there's strength. Short term, there is strength to the left. Now there's resistance here, and there's resistance up here and so on, but with the low volume test, it just means that, like I said, there was not fearful selling. Now let's go back over here. And look at the left, you can see 1 day 0.03, beginning of the week up 1.7, and for 5 days 1.7 on this also. So this is Friday's, and this is Monday morning here. Now, volume, look how much volume was down, minus 17.1%. Here's the 90-day moving average. Now, advancers were ahead of decliners because the green bar is above the red bar, and advancing declining volume looks like it was about flat. New lows flattened out. New highs are still down a little bit. The AD line is still going down. But let's take a look at this AD line with a different chart right here. And you can see that it turned up a little bit over the past couple of days. Advancing issues versus declining issues were flat here, but a slight turn up. And here is our low volume test, and you can see the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18-day moving averages. The fan is actually positive when they're stacked this way. Now, a good-looking fan, of course, would show a market in a strong uptrend, and we're far from being in a strong uptrend. By that, I mean looking clear back here, 200, 100, 50, and 18. This is what a bull market looks like. And looking over here, we're certainly not in a bull market as the AD line has been going down. But a short-term basis, it looks like it's holding up. Okay, I'm going to jump back up to the top one again. Minimize it so we can have both the chart and the warehouse view in here. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to bring the ranking module into play by clicking on that. This is it's set on comparative relative strength over the last 4 weeks, and these numbers represent the comparison to the S&P 500. You can see this is 100, so anything above this shows the relative strength in the percent above the S&P 500. So the Nasdaq outperformed it over this 4-week period by almost 4%. But look at this, the Bitcoin Investment Trust outperformed the S&P by almost 40%, 1.39. The Nasdaq 100 outperformed by 6.83%, the SOX 6.51%, and so on. Look at the underperformance over this time period. Small caps, micro caps, Dow Jones Transports, NYSE, and so on. But you can alter this. Let's just take a look at the last 1 week, and you can see that the Bitcoin Investment Trust still outperformed the Nasdaq 100, outperformed slightly, 0.49%, and the composite by 0.8. So what does this tell us? It tells us that the strength has been in the big cap Nasdaq stocks, obviously Bitcoin, and the Nasdaq outperforming the S&P. I'm just going to leave this on comparison to the S&P for the last week, and I'll go into the designer to show you where I'm going. I'm going to go up to the major market index components, and I'm going to go into the Nasdaq 100. I'm going to click through, and I want to go to the ranking module. Here's where I want to go. So this shows me anything above 100 outperformed the S&P, and this is where the strength was during the last week. Regeneron, Netflix, Micron, iSurge, and so on. Let's take a look at Netflix. And let's get a different chart on here. Let's move around to, I'm just going to go to my daily black candles. I like the black candles. I'll use the end-of-day stats. And let's just take a look at Netflix. And Here is alternate 2 on my keyboard to get this, and I want to point out that there were many VPA flags coming into this. I'm going to put a crosshair on. Put the crosshair on right in this area. You can see it held up. It formed a higher low above this support area here. There were VPA flags all the way down here, but it really wasn't ready to turn, and that's when you put on a different chart. I'm just going to go to 2A, and you can see that it was in a downtrend all the way. I'll make this full size. Look at the histogram here. The 3 was below 6 all the way down to here, even though there were VPA flags, bullish VPA flags. Yeah, they catch your attention, but look what's behind it. Here's a low volume test, but what's behind it? A downtrend. More downtrend. Selling. And then finally, we got a VPA flag here, strength seen returning after a downtrend and a bullish candle. But the histogram's still down, but this should make you more aware when the 3 starts turning back up towards the 6 that something, there are buyers stepping in here. And then what do we have? We have pocket pivots. Even though this 3 is below the 6, there's a buy signal. There's 2 signals. Just look up here. High volume up bar closing on the high indicates strength, effort to rise, bullish sign. And that's an effort to rise. It went up and then it pulled back, but here is the place to really consider it with a low volume test with the 3 above the 6. Shakeout, but notice the shakeout. What stands out about this shakeout? Low volume. It's higher than the prior day, but it's below the moving average. And then you really see the volume coming into it on here. So this is a shakeout because volume was below the moving average, and then it's moving up. Just a way of looking at or using moving average and combining them with VPA flags. I'll get this out of the way. Let's look at a micron. Make this full screen. Let's see how this one worked out. I haven't done this. I'm doing this on the fly. You can see the 3 below the 6 all the way down here. Here's a low volume test. Here was a low volume test up here, but the histogram 3 is below the 6. But you can see right here, if you look closely, that this bar is less than this bar. So the pressure's coming off on this low volume test. And then right here was an effort to rise plus 2 other VPA flags. Strength seen returning, up bar closing near the high after a test, confirmed strength, and it took off. Now, I haven't pointed it out yet, but if you look up here at the top, you'll see this group line is going up. It's semiconductors devices. The group rank is 97, so it's following the group. Now, looking back here, there's weakness. Strength starts coming in here when the 3 heads up towards the 6. And it's hard to buy these on the way down because there's weakness over here. You really need to see some strength. On this bar, there was strength behind it, and then it took off. So how do you find these? Well, you have to scan for them, look for them, and I've got all kinds of scans set up for you that I've worked on over the years. Let's just go to... I'm going to use my end of day scorecard. I'm going to sort on that. And I'm just going to stay in the Nasdaq 100, but I'm going to show you a sort here. I'm going to get this out of here so we can see this better. I'm going to sort on this column right here, VPA signal. And this shows me all the stocks in the Nasdaq 100 that had a signal today. If there's a 0 here, that means there's a signal. Then I'm going to do a secondary sort, and I'm going to do it on industry. And the third sort I'm going to use is the last VPA condition. Signal condition. And sorted that. This is resorted. So you can see that first of all of these, if there's a 0, there was a VPA flag today. My secondary sort is the industry. And then if you look over here to the right, you'll see what the last VPA signal was. So let's just click on these, and I'll make this. Okay, what do we have to the left here on workday? Make this a little bit bigger. Well, we've got some strength right here. The 3 has been chopping around the 6. It's a low volume test. There is some short-term resistance. Buying these breakouts is very difficult, of course, but it is showing some strength. Look at the low volume here on this green bar, and it closed near the high in the upper part of the range. That's why it's a low volume test. Another low volume test here. Let's look at this one, this big bar down. Notice that it was below the 90-day moving average. So it was a shakeout, but volume was relatively low compared to the 90-day. I don't know. It's got resistance up here. I'd certainly be careful, but that could go on a watch list. I'm just showing that you can quickly go through these. Here's a tester supply. There's a lot of weakness behind it. What is this? That's Zoom. The flag is, or the fan is down. There is volume point of control came in here on this day. I don't like. Fan is down, but there is some short-term strength behind her. You can see there's been some accumulation bars, multiple low volume tests, which has not been taken out, and here's an effort to rise. You can see it right here. Effort to rise, short-term strength behind it. The 3 is above the 6. Expensive stock, Biogen, group turning up. Could be used for a debit spread. Okay, now here we have Vertex. This is an effort to rise. Let's go back here and see what was happening on the turn. There was weakness behind it here, but as it turned and the 3 went above the 6, look at these pocket pivots, volume coming in. This is activity or demand. They shoved it right back down, but the next day it closed in the upper part of its range on volume. These blue bars mean that the up volume is higher than either 5 or 10 day down volume prior to this. So you can see volume coming in, volume point of control turned positive here, and it's been moving up since. Okay, this video is a little over 19 minutes. I'm going to stop there. In summary, I think the market looks decent. I saw some strength. You saw that most of the indexes were up. There's a lot of things to worry about, a lot of news that can drive this market quickly up and down. But right now, it looks more positive than negative. Let me put it that way. Thanks for listening. Have a good weekend, and I'll try to do a report next weekend. I'm going to be out of town visiting my daughter. I don't know if I'll get it done or not, but if not, maybe I can do something on Monday when I get back. Thanks for listening.